The iNETreprenuer radio show. We are so honored to bring you your host, the ultimate celebritypreneur, connecting businesses and celebrities worldwide. Winner of the Networking Organization of the Year, best-selling author, magazine publisher, trainer, and owner and founder of Network Together and the iNETreprenuer Media Network from magazines, TV, and radio network. We're excited to bring you your host, Mr. Robert W. Jones.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. I just love that intro. It always makes me feel like I want to get up and tap dance on my desk. Oh, my goodness. I should be standing right now, not sitting in this plush chair that I'm in right now. I'm really excited about today because today is a day that we get to talk about a lot of things that I've been going through lately. And, and each and every one of us probably goes through these things at different times in life. And it goes back to health. What type of life are we leading and how healthy do we want to live in our life? I mean, it's very, very important that, when we think of self-care, we don't actually look at certain aspects of care. Care is amazing. Care is like looking at the entirety of the cake. When it comes to health, you can't pick and choose the pieces of the cake you want. That one has flowers, or that one has a candle on it, or that one has a name, or, my kids, they just want all those little sparkly things on it. I mean, when it comes to health, you want to take health as a whole, because that really is what life is. If you falter in one place, it will come back. And there's this old Midas commercial that said, pay me now or pay me later. So some of the younger people in the audience, you may not know what that means, but believe me, it's true. And I went through a lot of pain and I paid for it. But today we're going to be talking with three guests who know quite a bit about health. And we're going to be talking about more of the environmental aspects of health. And, I always say without having a healthy lifestyle, it's hard to live a wealthy lifestyle. And, many people believe that. But again, my name is Robert Jones. I'm the owner and founder of the iNETreprenuer Network. We're an omni-channel networking organization. We have magazines, we have radio shows, we have books coming out, we have, networking, we do staged events, and we have some really great events coming up. And one of them that I want to talk about is our Pound Give community event. Not everyone knows that Network Together, one of our 5 pillars, is actually giving back to the community. That's our pillar number 4. And one of the things that we do is we pick every quarter and spotlight a non-for-profit community partner. And our next partner is Furnishing Dignity. A lot of people hear about foster kiddos and what happens to foster kiddos, because those kiddos grow up. That 8-year-old turns into an 18-year-old. That 11-year-old turns into a 21-year-old. And those kiddos have to go somewhere. But much of the time, the kiddos really, they're going somewhere, but they're going somewhere with maybe just the clothing on their back or a duffel bag. Even if they find a place to live for themselves, it's nothing but 4 walls of floor and a roof. That really isn't much of a home. I would call that a house. They don't have the toaster oven, they don't have the chair, they don't have the couch, they don't even have a bed to sleep in. And what Furnishing Dignity does is they help bring these resources to kids who are aging out of the foster system. So when they go into the next place that they're going to reside in, they actually have a bed to sleep in, a chair to sit in, and a toaster oven to make toast in. So, it's really, really, awesome that we're having this event. And the mission is, bring some type of small appliance or a donation. But if you bring a small appliance, the admission is free at our local event. So you can go to ntevents.net, that's ntevents.net, to find out how you can get to the location and maybe bring a small appliance for these foster kiddos who are aging out. But what I have next is I have our first guest on our show today, and our first guest is Mr. Christopher Shiver, and I'm only laughing here because what's so funny. Hey, Chris, how are you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Robert? I love that intro. That was incredible.
Yeah, well, what's really incredible is it took us like, an additional 10 minutes before the show to get your name spelled right or something on there.
and well, I think you're saying it right, though. Appreciate that. You caught yourself and you got it.
Yeah, I know. Shiver, And so what happens is we get prepped up and we put these banners that scroll across the screen, and right now I'm the one man does everything type of thing, and so I'm showing it right here, and Chris might put an extra R in, or he didn't capitalize an S, and then it comes up on screen, and people and then they go back to me and say, hey, what are you doing? You didn't spell my name right, or you didn't get my company right. But we slowed down and we took care of that, didn't we?
Yes, we did. And I even admitted to you, it's like, hey, I won't feel bad about it. I misspell my name all the time. I'm sorry. I'm a millennial. I trust in Grammarly and spell check.
Well, believe me, I'm older than a millennial, and I still spell Robert Jones wrong sometimes. My kids always like to run around the house going Wobbit. I'm like, oh my gosh, don't. And they just do that to infuriate me. So
that's what kids
it's
are
the
for.
joys of it's the joys of being the dad. Well, Chris, I really want to start out. I don't normally start out with the product, and I'm not going to do that again here. What I really want to know is I want to know a little bit more about you and what makes you tick. I mean, you have a very interesting background that you even got to this little place called Phoenix, Arizona. Tell us a little bit about where you grew up and maybe a little bit of the journey that brought you here.
Oh, well, I originally grew up in the Seychelles Islands, the Republic of Seychelles. It's right off the coast of Kenya. I mean, it's easy to find. You just go to Mombasa Canyon, you hang a right, you can't miss it. That's all you got to do. No, I'm joking.
I'm sure I'm already there. Let's go.
But it's close to Madagascar. It's north of Madagascar. It's east of Kenya, and it's south of Somalia. And it's this little island in the middle of nowhere that a lot of people don't know about. But it's actually it's where I grew up. It's where I was raised. I grew up speaking French, Creole, English. Growing up, but I also had an American father who actually came there to work on a United States base that's there, but a base that is, I believe, only been declassified in the last 2 years, and it's the only place in the world where you can find a Russian base and a United States base, literally fence to fence, right next to each other.
Well, that must have been an interesting situation if you were ever able to walk between the fences, right?
Oh yeah, you can totally fine. That's where a lot of negotiations happened during the Cold War and all that. So our culture is very interesting. The way a lot of people grow up in Seychelles, it's very far from everything, but at the same time, we're right at the epicenter of so many decision making, so many things that happened. And so I got to grow up like that, and then on my own volition, I chose to go to military school in New Mexico. Roswell, New Mexico, where the aliens landed supposedly. And there's if you drive through Roswell, it's easy. You'll blink, you'll miss it. But there's a castle, a huge Gothic castle right in the middle of it, and that's my school that I went to for 6 years. That's where, yes.
Yeah, I'm still thinking like you went from geopolitical boundaries to multi-dimensional boundaries in Roswell. So that's where you've taken to me. I'm seeing little green men running around,
yes.
in my mind.
Imagine the little green man, of course. But my American side of my family, we've always been from Arizona since 1938, I believe. Yeah, so in many ways, I consider myself an original Arizonian, but I can't really because I didn't live all my life here. But growing up, ever since I was 2 years old, I would leave about 6 months in Arizona and then 6 months in the Seychelles and just keep going back and forth until I was 14. And that's when I went to Roswell, New Mexico. But really, that's where a lot of things kind of like what I'm doing now, I started getting interested in the subject matter. I got into something known as hypnosis. So our school actually taught us how to use hypnosis on ourselves because they realized.
So you were all of like 14 years old when you started this, weren't you?
Yes, 14 years old. Yes, yeah. This is how it all started for me because then I got interested in psychology. I started learning about clinical research. I got into cognitive neuroscience research at ASU, which was probably like I think I learned more than any other time in my life when I was working in the lab, looking at EEG scans, MRI scans, learning about how the brain works and all the quirky things that it does that just doesn't make sense. You wouldn't think it does that. And all the illusions that our brains create and how to spot them and how to figure where they are. So,
And you have a really, you have a great background on that because you spoke so many languages. You were able to really travel quite a bit at a young age. You have a thirst for knowledge. I mean, I know you personally, and that's one of the things that I really appreciate about you is, you live to fail. I mean, it's just the most.
Yes. Yes.
No, but no, but you also live to succeed, and that's what I really appreciate about you. So tell me some of the things about, maybe going through, I would just even language is cultural itself. I mean,
Yes.
language is culture to me, and I'm sure there's certain things that really kind of created your mindset, maybe even a heart set that kind of started taking you on this path from hypnosis and even traveling a little further to where we're at now.
Oh yeah. One thing I can definitely say is because of the way I grew up, I didn't understand. I had this gift, and I couldn't understand why it was there. I couldn't even necessarily control it. I just willed it, and it would turn on. And for example, when I talk to my mother, I switch my accent to my original Cicero accent, and I just talk like that. And it's sort of, I don't have to think about it. I just imagine my mother, and I just continue talking like this. And I talk a little bit with more the English, British English than I do with necessarily American English. But I can keep going on like this for a long time, and it's not exhausting to me. It's not difficult. It's will, simply will. And I did not understand it fully until I got to cognitive neuroscience lab at ASU, where they took an MRI scan of the back of my brain, and I realized then. That's when my teacher and mentor at the time, Dr. Holloway, told me, he says, your cerebellum is so dense that you can actually see 3 different trees of neurons branching out on the inside of it. And that's how you were exposed to 3 different languages, 3 different cultures, 3 different ways of communication at such a young age that ingrained itself into your brain. And that's why I can go back and forth anytime I choose or wish.
And I look at that as throughput. I mean, the human mind is amazing. It is really, I will say it may say cliche to sound what I'm going to say, and that's, it is the original processor.
Yes.
And so for you, it's almost like having more throughput. It's like you've opened up new pathways through your mind because of your varied lifestyle and upbringing, which I think has helped you kind of really want to manifest the way that you look at people, the way that you want to pursue greatness, the way that you want to, be a servant for those who may not be in the same space as you. I mean, you're like one of those guys where it's just like, okay, Chris, we got it, and that's what I appreciate about you, because, you're not about like, what can I do for me? You've always been that guy. When the first time I met you at a networking event, ironically enough, right, at Trade Source. And I remember you coming in there, and what was so impactful to me was just the way that you engaged. It truly, you have 2 ears and 1 mouth. And I noticed that before you said anything, you were looking around the room, and you were just looking at the complex dynamics of the people there. And you were just like, I saw your eyes. It was like this, there was like flames coming out of your head. You were just loving that, weren't you?
I was. I'm sorry. You got me. You got me, Robert. That's exactly what I was doing. I'll never forget Trade Source. That's exactly where it started. I remember meeting Sally there, meeting Olivia there, everybody there. And yeah, that's exactly what I was doing. And that's what I always do. I have to do that. Because traveling as much as I did, I was always trying to get as much references from every experiences that I could. Try to learn as much as possible, because like you said earlier, I live to fail. And I do. I love messing up. I love making mistakes. I love it when somebody tells me, hey, Chris, you could have done that better. I freaking love that, because if you have a mindset where you only see failure as feedback, you can't lose. It's impossible.
Well, and talk about that a little bit, because, and we're going to get even closer to CEO as we keep connecting this, but, you can train your mind to do things differently, instead of fearing the failure, replace fear with laughter. I am going to have fun failing because it's going to speed me to my success, right? Isn't that a part of what you help people do?
Exactly what I help people do. And I love what you're saying, because yes, that's a perfect segue to go into how the brain is. We choose our perceptions. We choose how we choose to see the world around us. A lot of people, we like to believe like, oh no, that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. No, it's not. It never has to be that way, because you can look at a situation from every single angle, every single dynamic, every single cultural perspective, and you'll get something different. You will find gold in the darkest of places, and then you'll find it's incredible what you can get out of it. Because for me personally, it goes back to military school. I never quit. That place was so tough for me. But then it was there that I learned that I was like, okay, yeah, I didn't beat the PT test. All right, Robert, I'm not like you. I didn't get to 120 sit-ups in 2 minutes. All right.
Oh, I remember.
I couldn't do it, you know. But the thing is, it didn't matter, because I was like, okay, now I know where I'm at. Because a lot of what happens with the way our brains work, we tend to be very polarized. The way we see things, and that's okay. That's just the way it works. But what's important for us to understand is that our conscious mind can see through that. If we just get present, if we just learn to listen, learn to slow down, because I have that problem. I have to slow down all the time, right? And that's all and you work on that and you get consistent with it. You can literally change the way you interact with life, the way you show up authentically every single day.
You know, and see, here's the other thing that was just so fascinating when you hold it right. You know, I've always believed that you got to have some aptitude, but let me tell you, it's that attitude that gets you to that altitude. That is what it is. And yes. I remember, and I did some mind game on you, and you didn't even know it, but I loved it, because I was thinking to myself, is this guy going to be an academic snob? And so, you know, and so, I had this theory, and so I came out with my theory, Chris, and it was like, I remember when I told you, I said, yeah, there's 3 things that make a person: their nature, their nurture, and their noodle. And I remember, and I remember, and you looked at that, and you did the same thing. You just went, and then you laughed, and you were like, that's great. You weren't like, no, well, this is what it's called, and this is how it was, and at ASU it was this way, and I learned this from military school, and Dr. Holloway said this. You're like, I'm going to steal that because it makes sense. People can understand that. And that's what's really good about you, because it's great to have all that knowledge. It's great to have all that skills. But if you're not relatable, you know, and quite frankly, if people don't like you, you know, you're going to right, you're going to bury your own success. You create that moat around, which leads us to what SEO is. SEO to me is one of the most incredible products out there. And you know I'm talking a lot, but it's because I'm getting sleep again. And I will tell you, you know, SEO doesn't even just help the person that the SEO is on, it helps the partner of the person that the SEO is on. Because when my wife's not sleeping, you know who else is not sleeping? Yeah, me, you know, and the pets, because Sean is up and we're all up. But if she's sleeping, we're all sleeping. And it's thankfully to SEO, who's, you know, the product has really helped our family get a good night's sleep.
Oh, it makes a difference, doesn't it?
It does. It does. So tell us a little bit about how the music and the lighting and the rhythmic patterns of that can really just change the architecture of the human mind.
So I'm going to jump to an extreme here, and I'm going to talk about PTSD and how SEO it can affect PTSD, because a lot of the reasons why we can't sleep is because we don't know how to take presence and control over our mind. Because a lot of we think the thoughts and the little sayings in our head, you know, like the little part of me that goes like, well, he said noodle. That's not right. That's not correct, right? It's being able to be present to that, catch it, and realize it's just a signpost. It's just, that's how your brain works. And being able to go like, well, okay, that's cool. Thank you. Let go. Right. And that's actually the most popular program on the SEO is letting go. Because right now I had, we're having FDA trials taking place in Virginia right now, specifically with PTSD veterans, Air Force pilots, and women who've been raped, because the trauma of those events makes it very difficult for those individuals to let go, right? Because like say you're a veteran, right? You can't relax. I was trained not to relax. I was trained to stay super vigilant at all times. But the actuality is that thought pattern is what's keeping a lot of those traumas in place, right? And it's not something that happens overnight. It's not something you get trained into that mindset, just like you need to be trained out of it, right? And being able to take that prefrontal cortex and take responsibility for your brain, right? And understand that is just, those are the thoughts in your head. That's just the computer. That is not your soul, right? They're completely separate. You can use it to do that.
And it's so true. And that's why so much of the time in our conversations too, I always say, before you can work on your mindset, you need to work on your heart set, because the heart set's really what drives the underlying. It's like the ant and the elephant. It's the elephant of the heart that really drives that mindset to do the greatest things that humans can possibly do.
Yes, agreed. To build the pyramids, how much passion did you have to have as a person going like, I want to build the pyramids. It's going to take 1,000 years to build, and I won't be there to see it at the end.
Absolutely.
Your heart is in it.
Well, these segments go way too fast, don't they?
Yes, they do.
So really it's like, here's the thing. And this was like my first question is like, how often do I do it? How long does it take? What do you offer? And I won't even get to cost, because to me it's priceless at this point. It's just an amazing, see Chris to talk about price, but I think it's been the most amazing product. But tell us a little bit about just those functional aspects on what a person can expect with CO.
Better sleep. That's it. Honestly, like I told Sean, your wife, it was very simple. Every single day for a week, use it once. All I'm asking is for 25 minutes of your day to retrain your brain. You don't have to do anything. Now, of course, if you want to do it the natural way, you can take a plane, go to Tibet, meditate for 6 hours a day for 3 years, and then you'll be at the same level where you have that level of control. Or you can just do the CO and just get straight there instantly in less than a month.
You know what? I think Sean used that exact same statement. She said, see how much money we saved, honey?
Yes, because I want to teach people how to fish. I don't want to give them the fish, right? Because like you said, Sean, after she was done with a month, she didn't need it for like a whole other month. She was perfectly fine until something happens, something resets, some pattern shifts, put it right back on, reset, get that heart reset, and move on.
Well, this show is really about, a healthy environment. And, this is what's really crazy. When we think of environment, so our brain thinks of external environment, but I have to say, there's all, what we're talking about, everyone, is we're talking about the internal environment, because what happens out there affects in here. What happens in here affects out there. And, there is no, I'm apart from anything. We're physical beings, we're mental beings, we're emotional beings, and we're all interconnected, just like you were to those space aliens in New Mexico. So, I mean,
so I think, I don't know, they raised my memory. I don't remember any of it.
It might. But, Chris, tell us, I know we have your information scrolling across the screen here. We actually have your name spelled right and everything. I love that. Tell us some other ways that people can get a hold of you, and just to start that conversation so they can find the same success that I found and my wife found, and really millions of people around the globe have found.
Excellent. So I do 30-minute free consultations over Zoom to talk to people so they understand what it is, how it works, answer all their questions. Because like Sean, she had a lot of questions. Because this is like, wait, you're telling me I put these glasses on and I just go to sleep properly? That's unbelievable. That's unbelievable. So I want to sit there, explain them the science, see if they need to hear the statistics, the clinical research, or maybe just see some testimonials of veterans crying their eyes out because getting their first night of sleep in 6 or 7 years since the traumatic event. But as well, we also offer free demos. So you get to come in a safe place outside at your home, or maybe at one of our clinics all around the nation that actually have the devices in the hospitals. You can go in and try your free demo there and see what it's like. We have this amazing program called the Discovery Session. It's not meant to help you with anything, but it's meant to give you that experience of what it's like. And it just, like you went through it, it's up, it's down, it's left and right.
Oh, it is. It's unlike anything. I mean, you talk about out of body experience, isn't it? And the first time I used it, I have actually it felt like I was going to my third eye. I mean, it was really amazing how that works. But Chris, thank you so much for being on the show today. I believe in the product, and I think it's just we're pioneering the information and the concept here in the United States, and you're doing a tremendous job in the Valley, and I'm just glad that I feel like I'm a part of the CO movement. So if you want a BO, you got a CO. So I'm really excited about that. So thank you so much for being on the show, Chris.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
Well, again, I want to thank Chris Shiver so much for being on the show today. I always have a really great time with him because, it's just about living passionately in life. And my next guest on the show today, her name is Linda Sabo, and I'm really excited about having her on the show as well today. Linda, hi.
Hi there. How are you?
I am doing fine. I know we've been talking about all these crazy things from from Martians to Russia and the United States and all that, and I'm bringing this back now from this whole internal processes of the human mind and our experience and how we can change fundamentally. And CO is a great change agent, but what I want to talk to you about is some other things that really create a tremendous amount of impact in our society. And I think as much as any person or any doctor or any dad or any mom or anyone else, animals have just as profound effect on quite a big part of our population, especially here in the United States. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely. 70% of households in the United States have a pet. That's a big chunk. So,
and what's really interesting in the iNETreprenuer network, I actually did a straw poll a couple of years ago, and I found out that 80% of the members in Network Together had one or more pet. And so there's a lot of pet owners, and there's a lot of reasons why we have pets. They're great companions. They provide protection. They give you love unconditionally. What are some other reasons why people have pets?
Well, they do all of that. Pets also, get you outdoors, can provide exercise. A lot of people like to hike out here. Dogs are great companions when you're hiking. I think especially during the quarantine time, a lot of people went out and got a pet, hopefully adopted a pet, and had them at home with them as a companion, especially if they live alone. So pets make great companions. Also for families with children, pets teach the kids some responsibility. You can give them the responsibility of feeding or cleaning up after the pets, and it gives them a sense of responsibility, and they create a bond with the pet as well. So.
Yeah, and I think that we're all striving for connection. The top words, we talked about it earlier today, some of the trending words on, extra. What that means is, taking that extra call, making that extra step, providing just a little bit more compassion, doing extra. Another one this year, a trending word is hope. Having more hope that, yes, we went through COVID-19, another trending word, and now it's like our outlook is, what have we learned? And, where do we find hope? How do we pursue it? How do we share it? I mean, that is a big word. But lastly, it's what you talked about, Linda. One of the largest trending words is connections. We're all in these little boxes half the time, and we're not connected. And I think pets really provide a great a great connection to their owners, and actually, like with us, our family.
Right.
I agree. So
yeah.
but here's the thing, like I know that you've had different careers, and you weren't always with Melaleuca. When I first met you, you actually kind of niched differently on how you approached the healthy living company. And as you kind of started going down your journey of being an entrepreneur, that changed over time. What were some of the reasons why you changed who you were concentrating on, and you went from where you were to actually kind of concentrating on pet owners? What were some of the reasons for that?
Well, the biggest reason for that is my background. I worked in the corporate world as a buyer for 20 plus years in the pet industry. So I spend a lot of time learning about pets, and the most gratifying thing in that industry is providing solutions for people for their pets. Most of the time when people go to a pet store, they have an issue with their pet and they're looking for a solution, whether it's, healthier food for weight loss, or they're having allergies or skin conditions. So all those things are, reasons why people go to the pet store to go shopping in the first place. So with that background, and then joining Melaleuca, they provide solutions for very similar issues in humans. So I saw the connection there where I could provide solutions for people, whether it was for themselves or for their pets. And that's really where I saw myself going, rather than just focusing on human issues, is moving to the pet issues, because that's really where my expertise is.
Well, and I think that's really interesting. Having the pet background, not taking away, what type of care that you have for people, but when we think about this, and Linda, you and I have talked about this before. I always look at our environment. Chris and I, we've kind of really talked about that internal environment, and nothing's ever separate. Everything as an organism, we take in and we expel out. That's what we do is life forms. And we look at our environment, we look at our food, we look at our water, what type of nutrition hopefully are we getting. Like with me just going out and getting some dental care, because I got to practice it. But the thing is we do sometimes limited amount of care when it comes to our environment. And here's the thing that you gave me that light bulb off. You said, Robert, your pets live in that same environment. So if you're eating right, and you're drinking right, and you're living right, you're doing the activity, but you're bringing toxins into the home, those pets pick up on the toxins as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's something people don't think about, and it's something that I became aware of pretty quickly after learning more about Melaleuca and the products that they provide. Great for the environment, great for use in your home, no toxins, nothing bad to breathe. Well, your pets are on all the surfaces of your home, whether it be the floor, the furniture. Cats are sometimes on countertops or wherever they want to be. So they're all over the furniture and stuff, and then they lick themselves. Pets naturally lick themselves. I mean, cats spend 30% of their waking hours grooming themselves. So they're ingesting whatever they just walked on or sat on. So if you're not using safe products to clean your home, those pets are ingesting the chemicals that you're using in your home. I find, people are probably cleaning a lot more and sanitizing a lot more these days than they had even in the past. And it's more important that they're using safe, non-toxic products in their home, especially if they have pets and small children. But, the pets with the licking and licking themselves, I had a dog that used to just randomly lick the floor. You have to think about what you're using to clean that, because they are ingesting that, and that does cause issues for them internally.
I mean, a tremendous amount of issues, because, even going deeper still, if we're starting to look at how human beings are, and what we're taking in, so many toxins, and understand that animals take even more toxins. I mean, when I was a youngster, I never knew that animals could get cancer. I never knew that they could also have all the degenerative problems, that people have. And I can't help but think that really it goes back to you can do all the right things, and it goes back to like the cake. Health isn't the slices you want in the cake. Health has to be an integrative approach of every slice of that cake, to do really well. But how do you do a lot of your outreach, and what do you say to people who don't necessarily believe in, yes, they take care of themselves, but what do you tell the person who may not look at it the same way for their own pets? How do you overcome that hurdle?
Well, I think most people care more about their pet health than their own health sometimes. So when you start talking about things like them ingesting the chemicals, I think most people are responsive to that for their pet's health. And that it's just something they hadn't thought of. And honestly, I really didn't think about it before I was working with Melaleuca. It's not something you think about, but pets are smaller. Pets have smaller lung capacity and a much different olfactory system than we have. So things that are in the air get into their system a lot quicker. They're where they are, where their height is, where the dangerous gases flow in the home is right where they're breathing it in.
Yeah, and I remember, one time I was in the vet clinic, and this was like tremendous to me. And it's like, Donna Metter had a comment in there. I loved it, kind of like in plain sight. And, the vet told me, he goes, pets don't normally wear clothing. And I just thought about that for a second. They really have no, for the most part, structural protection on anything. If I wipe toxins against my body, right? It might go on my clothing, but if it's a pet, it's really on them. And it started really making me think differently, about my pets as well, about, how do they live, and how often do I clean their environment, and how often do I take care of their bowls, and kind of seeing, through their eyes at their level. Now, what type of pet products does Melaleuca offer, Linda?
Actually, right now, Melaleuca doesn't have any products that are specifically for pet, but all of the cleaning products actually benefit the pet. So that's really where I try to educate people. It's the products that you're using in your home really make a difference for your pet's health. And it's something people just need to be aware of. It's not only just the use of them too. It's just like having a small child. It's the safe storage of them. Melaleuca's products don't require child safety caps because they're not harmful if ingested. But if you do have products in your home that can be harmful, you need to make sure you're storing them where the pets can't get into them.
Right. Yeah. Well, Linda, I want to make sure I have your information scrolling across the screen here. These are ways that people can find you. What other ways can people find you so they can start a conversation with you?
Well, my phone number is across there. I don't know if my email is across there. I do have a website listed. Just get a hold of me. I'm happy to answer questions. I have a lot of information about pet health. If you have a pet, if you have a concern, I'm not a doctor, but I may be able to help you, or at least put you in the right direction. I'm happy to have a one-on-one and connect with anybody who would want to talk more about safe products for their home that benefit their pets.
Yeah, and I want everyone to know that there's also another way that you can find Linda and have that conversation. She also is a part of the chapter team in Scottsdale. They meet from noon to 1 p.m. each and every week on Fridays. That is calendared at ntevents.net. Carol responded on here too. I saw her name, Carol. Hi. But yeah, so that's another way to get to know Linda, start a conversation with her, even put your information in the chat to connect with her. Linda, thank you so much for being on the show today. I appreciate your time, and just, given us some insight on, how we should be with our fur babies.
Yes, absolutely.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
Gosh, that is what's so crazy about being able to have a radio show with just, special people like Christopher and Linda. And it's another way of just getting to know someone differently. I had no idea about Chris at Roswell. And with Linda, she might have told me that before, but I didn't remember that she worked in the pet industry for all those years and was a pet buyer, having that special place in the heart. But, do animals, create something in our environment? Absolutely. We'll see how help you with the internal mechanism of who we are and how we think. Yeah, absolutely. But we also have another person that's coming on to the show, and she has another great take on, how to live healthy. And, she's coming on right now. Hi, Alexis.
Hey, how are you?
I am fine. I mean, how can I not be fine? I mean, 1, Chris, 2, Linda, and 3, the gal with the streak. What's going on? Let's see that a little bit.
You like my oops? Which side I get?
Yeah, it's like which side is it, right? There it is.
There we go.
Oh my goodness.
Pink.
Yeah, I mean that is yep. I love that. I just saw that right away and I was just like, okay, I'm going to bring that on in the show because that is meant to be shown. Again, if Donna's still on, I mean, Donna, I hope that makes you proud because that is really cool. And I always tell Sean, she had a hairstyle and she had this streak in, and I thought that was the coolest thing, that little streak in her hair. I don't know why. I'm a streak guy. When I was a kid, I used to like Pepe Le Pew, not the smell, but the streak. Okay. So that was like really, really cool stuff. So, what's really great, Alexis, is, we started the iNETreprenuer network in Arizona, and but you're out in Pennsylvania. And what is really crazy is I'm meeting people from San Diego and New York and Massachusetts and actually Argentina, India, and England. We're starting to really get kind of a movement that's going around the world a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it's pretty cool to be able, in this world, to be able to join from anywhere. I love it.
Yeah, and you have one of your partner in crimes from your chapter here, the Phoenix chapter, Chris. So it's great. I nabbed you both. I mean, I was able to go to a chapter meeting with you guys the other day, and I just had a total. It was like a fun trip. And so if you want to have some fun, go. Scottsdale. If you want to have some more fun, go to Phoenix. Actually, quite frankly, people ask me, what chapter do you like the best? I said, well, I love them all, just differently. It's kind of like picking a kid. You love them all for different reasons, but at the end of the day, you love them all. But, how did you find out about Network Together? And, how did you get involved with this community? Because that's kind of an interesting story.
Yeah, when the world shut down for the pandemic, I was, after, the whirlwind of getting my kids settled at virtual school and all that, I decided to go on to Meetup and look for some networking groups. And for some reason, I thought Phoenix would be a good area. I do a lot of conferences in Phoenix. I don't know, it spoke to me. I looked for groups in Phoenix and your group popped up and I joined the Phoenix group and the rest is history. And I feel like I really have this Phoenix family now, my little friends, I can't wait to come and meet you guys all in person. I'm super excited for that.
Oh my goodness. That's going to be an event in itself. I mean, just wait. I mean, so you live out in Pennsylvania. Are you a lifer from Pennsylvania? Have you always lived there?
Yep. I grew up about an hour outside of Philadelphia, west in the suburbs. Actually, it was country. My mom, we had a 15-acre farm. My mom's a veterinarian. We rode horses and all that stuff. We went fox hunting on the weekends.
Wow. Awesome.
It was very unusual even for those times. So
well, again, this is what's so great is just getting to learn about things that you don't know, because it's usually you usually don't go to a chapter meeting and say, hey, yeah, in my background we hunted foxes. I'd be like, okay, next. But,
we didn't kill the foxes. We just chased them.
Okay, chasing them. Okay, I get it. But so you haven't always been in your current profession with the Tower Garden and Juice Plus. I mean, you've had some other careers that you kind of led up to this. Tell us a little bit about what you were doing before you decided to be in your current entrepreneurial venture.
Yeah, I started off life majoring in metalsmithing at Syracuse University. And when I left there, I worked for first a wholesale jeweler designer, and then I ended up working for a retail jeweler. So my whole life, up until I had kids, was all about jewelry design, repair, managing a store, and doing that whole jewelry thing.
Metal smithing. I had to put it in here in the comments, like metal smithing, like question mark. What? Let's go back to the metal smithing. What does that actually mean? Because I'm thinking like some person who rivets, like.
Well, I did a couple rivets. Probably not what you're visualizing though.
Okay.
Yeah, it was basically a jewelry major, so I learned how to solder. I had actually had experience of it in high school. We had an amazing jewelry department in my high school, which is where I became interested in it. So Syracuse has a metalsmithing degree in the fine arts category, and we just learned all about the different. It was mostly design. Like they would teach us different techniques, and we'd design a piece around it, and we'd make it, and that's how it went. And there was lots of studio hours, so we would spend lots, overnights in the studio. Everyone working, soldering, filing, grinding metals.
Oh my gosh, that here's something a lot of people don't know about me, and they love it when I say this, but then they think like, what is that? I'm a horologist. And a lot of people are like, what? What's a horologist? Yeah, I'm a trained watchmaker. Not that I see a lot of watches anymore. Yeah. So I'm a trained watchmaker, and I also was a professional jewelry maker. So here in Tempe, Arizona, with a company called Gummo Manufacturing, I created a lot of handmade jewelry. So some of my background, I worked for Zales as well. So it's just great to learn these things. So going from metalsmithing to Juice Plus, was there like a pivot point that said, okay, I'm just gonna change the life? Or how did you come upon this opportunity and just you're just really kind of taking it and grabbed hold of it and you're making it yours?
Yeah, well, like as I look back, I kind of feel like everything I do is about making people happy. And that is really just like the overarching thing. But I stayed with jewelry. I even got my gemology degree after I was in the field. And then I had kids. So I stopped working full-time for someone else, and I just decided to run my own business from home and raise my son. And it just was a little bit too much to try and handle with an infant, with the chemicals and the tools and all that kind of stuff. So actually, it was a longer path to Juice Plus. So first I started dabbling in cake making, and I started making cakes for my son. And over the years, my daughter arrived, and the cakes got more complex, and people started asking me to make them. All in all, I took a cake decorating class down at the Michaels in, craft store, because I was like, well, I've never officially been taught. She asked me at the end of the course to teach the class. And I meet my future best friend, and we start a business together. And that was our cake decorating business. So once again, something that, makes people happy. Like I love presenting them with something really unique and pretty. So that's where that.
So what you're telling me is you're totally led by passion, because I have not heard you say, well, I'm going to go to this profession because I want to make money. I mean, you're doing this because, and I say a lot of entrepreneurs that they decide to do something because they have an interest, and or they have an expertise, or both. And and many times if they have that, they do it out of need or necessity. the need is no one else is doing it, or the necessity is it's like, hey, I just got to take care of my family, so you're going down this road. And when did you actually start saying to yourself, it's not just Juice Plus, it's not just the Tower Garden, it's actually, what you're doing is being a wellness advocate. When did that approach start taking effect for your life?
Well, as I was digging into my cake business, I started becoming that worn out entrepreneur. I was a stay-at-home mom with the kids, running them here and there, staying up all night trying to get my orders done. And my business became less about the passion behind making the cakes and presenting them, and more about, I'm so exhausted, I'm not enjoying this anymore. And that's when I came across Juice Plus. And it was not just a product to me, but it opened up a whole world of understanding how important nutrition is. And it really triggered a love of biology and science. And actually, way back, I had wanted to be a doctor. So I think that roundabout way brought me back to where I had started from, which was, maybe I'll be a doctor. And I really grabbed hold of that science, and I just love the passion. And my own family has such an amazing experience. My kids were always sick. They stopped being sick so often. My son's constipation got better, which he'll kill me for saying on air. But all in all, we were just doing so much better, and we were learning how to live healthier. And then on top of it, my energy was better. So now I'm like, oh, well, now I can stay up all night making cakes. And sorry, Chris, I know I should be sleeping.
And that really is very fulfilling to do something that is, really bigger than yourself, and to do something that is fulfilling, and to see the results around you. But I've seen a lot of Juice Plus representatives, and like I said, you hold Juice Plus in such a radically different way. And it's probably your experience. It's probably because you used to rivet metal, it's probably all created jewelry. But I think a lot of it is because you look at your business as your own business, and you look at yourself that you're an entrepreneur, not someone who's selling a product. And that's what I really see in you, Alexis. But for a lot of people who don't see the product in the right way, really what they see is just like modified gummies that you pop in the mouth. And and I know, for those people who really are the naysayers of Juice Plus, they aren't just like modified little gummies that pop in your mouth. I mean, it's whole food. Tell us about a little bit more about what that means. What is whole food?
Yeah, whole food. So a lot of people say that we're vitamin deficient, but really we're whole food deficient. And whole food is fruits and vegetables, apples, peaches, plums, lettuce, basil, all different, zucchini, all different fruits and vegetables, as well as whole grains. But getting that whole food before it's been processed and had sugars added and all these additives. So that's super important. And most of us are too busy to be eating that whole food because it takes time. And that's why Juice Plus is so awesome, because it really is, it's not a vitamin. It is truly fruits and vegetables that are grown on small family farms. They're harvested at the peak of freshness, which is really important because a lot of our fruits and vegetables in our markets today are picked before they're ripe, and then they pump them with gases along the way and ripen them. And if you pick them when they're ripe, obviously they go bad too fast. So that's not a good financial thing. Into a powder. So you're getting the pits, the peels, the skins, everything, all that nutrients, which is so important. And some of those things we don't even really eat every day. Yeah. So all of that is crushed and put into a capsule, or they take that powder and make it into a gummy.
Well, but it's even more than that, because I used to work for a couple of different nutraceutical pharmaceutical companies, and the care, you can even source all the products, quality organic products, and having the fields in the right places, and getting it through the most organic processing that you can possibly have, just to have it all fail within the distribution channels. I mean, I've seen a lot of pharmaceutical and nutraceutical companies, not distribute their own product properly. And it really doesn't, give you the value that the commercials say. And I think a lot of that happens too. But Juice Plus is very unique and that they make sure, I call it the seed to shelf, concept. I think they do a very good job of getting that fresh whole food from the seed to shelf to the end user, don't they?
Yeah, they do a great job. They they get it all made really fresh, but like the way that it is marketed, it's word of mouth. It's from mom to other mom who were all struggling getting fruits and vegetables into our own kids and our own families, and it's a great marketing strategy, I believe. And honestly, as an entrepreneur of my own businesses before, I was hesitant to get into doing something like this, but I think it's amazing when you have an amazing product. Why not? Why wouldn't I tell the rest of the world? Because that fulfills my mission, which is making other people happy. Like it made my family happy. I wanna get other people happy. Go ahead.
Yeah, and so that leads me to the other side, the other exciting side, and we hear a lot about the tower garden, and I think that there's more than one sizes of the tower garden, and a couple, there's lots of attributes, in regards to that tower garden. Tell us a few things that just make you go geek about the tower garden.
I love the tower. So it's like one of my
tower. It's not the tower garden. It's just the tower. I see tower.
I guess I should call it officially. It is the tower garden. I would just like to throw out two things about Juice Plus that I didn't say is that it's backed by research, and it is I forget the other one. Oh, it's NSF certified. So those are two super important things I meant to say before. But back to Juice Plus, there was a time when I was just a customer and taking Juice Plus, and then I decided to be partner with them and be part of the company. And my friend added me to all these Facebook groups. And all of a sudden I see this tower, this growing tower. I'm like, what is that? Why didn't anyone tell me that this existed? Like, I didn't even know. And as I told you, I grew up on a farm. My mom had a big garden. Like, I was all about growing things. And my kids had basically moved my sprinkler with timers from the in-ground garden. It was a mess, flooded a room. So I was like, that is for me, that garden. But, I was like unsure. So I went for my mom. I'm like, Mom, check this thing out. I know you need this. You need this. You need this. She's like, no, you do it. So I did it. I grew. I got my tower. I started it growing. My mom was living in Florida. Came up 3 times one summer. Every time she'd be like, oh, wow, check that out. She came back second, third time. She's like, okay, I got to have one of these. It's just amazing. The reason Juice Plus brought it in is because if we were teaching people about eating fruits and vegetables and encouraging people to flood their body with it, we might as well grow it, because there is just that connection, because when you grow it, you eat it. And when kids see where their food comes from, they just want to eat it.
I love that. Amazing. Yep. Yeah, definitely. So we're coming at the end of our segment here and at the end of the show. And, I have your information scrolling across the screen here. Just tell us some ways that people can get a hold of you and actually even maybe meet you virtually. Tell us.
Yes, I would love to set up a Zoom, do a wellness consultation with you for free. I love to help parents and kids and get on the right track with food. I'm starting up doing a class, so please go to the link below and you will see all my other links. And one of them is to set up a Zoom. I would love to meet anyone out there and have some virtual coffee.
Great. And which chapter are you at, Alexis?
I'm in Phoenix. So come visit us in the Phoenix chapter.
Right. When do you guys meet? When do you guys meet?
We meet on Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Phoenix time and 1 p.m. Philadelphia time.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. How do you get those time zones? And especially because, crazy. Right, Arizona never changes, so it's like, okay, I got to change all my material.
You can't tell. I can't tell you how much that messed with me when the time change happens.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today. I hope everyone that watched today got some value about, in any way. I mean, from eating whole food to taking care of their pets to, just living a new way, almost through an NLP type of way with the CEO. I mean, we have so much to offer here in the iNETreprenuer Network. But one of the things that I love most about the iNETreprenuer Network is just having fun. You know, business should be fun. I always say, if you have fun, you'll learn faster and you'll be happier. Thank you so much today, Alexis, for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Have a great day.
You too.
Network together. It's all about connections. Expand your sphere of influence. Build relationships. Be part of something bigger. Be part of Network Together.
Well, hi again, everyone. I want to thank our guests that were on the show today. I hope it was fun and informative for everyone that was involved. I love the comments. Keep the comments coming in here. Please go to YouTube.com/iNETreprenuer Radio and subscribe. Please go to our iNETreprenuer Radio Facebook page and like us. You know, your comments, your emojis, just your energy means the world to all of us. You guys have a great week. Don't forget, February 24th, we have the Give Community Fundraiser coming up. I'm Robert Jones. I am the master of this show. I'm saying that in deference to Chris and his, crazy metaphysical thing going on. At any rate, you guys have a great day. Make it successful. Thanks.